Yeah, I know that sticking point was definitely on the using AI fucking, uh, like, dead actors or whatever.
Yeah.
That sounds like the, start of a sci-fi dystopian movie of, like, when you realize, "Oh, well, we don't have to pay we can use your likeness and pay you and not have to pay you when you're dead." And I'm like, "Okay, so the next line of dialogue is that then they created the hit squads. Ah, we like Brad Pitt, but dead him is cheaper."
Episode 460 of the TV Dudes, recorded November 8th, 2023. Lawmen Bass Reeves. This week, we're talking about the newest Taylor Sheridan project, Lawmen Bass Reeves on Paramount Plus, the return of Invincible Season 2 on Prime, and our three desserts, the season finale of GenV and Star Trek Lower Decks, and the penultimate Loki. Before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And I'm Nick, doing a Henry Cavill, punch, thing I did before we started. I don't know why I did it. Like, it's a visual format. I was like, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "Fuck you. Wait, that doesn't do anything." Yeah.
Why did I cock my arms?
Why did I cock my arms for no reason?
You're getting ready for the return for the Law Reeve, for the Bass Reeves.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You're gonna, I kept waiting for the second Time Cop Bass Reeves to show up because it's called Lawmen Bass Reeves, and he's just one of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
it's like that Genius show. Like they're gonna do more lawmen. It's gonna be a cop anthology.
Well, they can't be around each other that much because if it's Time Cop rules, they can't touch each other.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah, there should be a colon in there, right? Like it should be Lawmen, Bass Reeves. But it says just Lawmen Bass Reeves. I'm like,
Bass Reeves. Yeah, I think Lion. Whatever special ops
Linus
Linus
something. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think there was a colon in there.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about it. This it's important to note. I think that it is a Taylor Sheridan project, but I don't think he wrote this one, and I think you can tell.
Ooh, I mean, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we'll get to it. It was, yeah.
Well, it'll take us 2 episodes though.
Yeah, at least. All right, so let's start off the week with our TV diaries.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
I will kick things off again this week. I got again a kind of a light week. I did watch. I've been having some health stuff lately, and so I went into my comfort mode and I watched a shit ton of Parks and Rec season 3, starting with the flu season episode, which is always so goddamn funny. I feel like that is when the show took off. Like there's stuff I like in season 2. There's even stuff I like in season 1, but really it is season 3 where Parks and Rec becomes Parks and Rec.
Mm-hmm.
And
you have to get rid of Brondonovan, man of Brandanovich.
You do. Yeah, he's got to be gone. Yeah, and when it just like is firing on all cylinders, like there's also like 2 season finales. Like it seems clear they didn't know if they were gonna actually keep going because there's the Harvest Festival that happens at like episode 12,
mm-hmm.
and there's like 4 more episodes, and then there's the Ben and Leslie is running for office thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's 2 finales. And they pack a lot of story into that. It's very much the Mike Schur. Well, go ahead. There'll be more story later. Let's just tell stories.
Yeah.
I also watched almost the rest of Ted Lasso season 3 with some friends, and I'm enjoying seeing that part because I have not seen this one more than once. So there's a lot of stuff to rewatch and catch little bits that I didn't catch the first time. I watched the finale, the last 3 episodes of House of Usher with my friend Morgan, who is not a horror fan, but who really enjoyed watching House of Usher with me. I enjoyed watching that. I thought watching that, knowing what the setup was from the beginning, I enjoyed a lot more. There's stuff that I picked up on. I kept up on Quantum Leap, which a couple episodes I was down on, and now I'm right back on board. Like, this is a good episode.
I mean, making it Ernie Hudson heavy was great.
Yeah.
Magic's whole being an alcoholic in the spy, like all of that played really well.
And dating Janice's mom, that was cool. A surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Also, I just love being right. And and yeah, when I realized Magic was going to be the new hologram, and I was like, of course, because you don't have anything for him to do on the show.
But it's funny because they made him a hologram and then they gave him a side plot.
Right.
Like they gave him They gave with both hands, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
If you
no,
want
no.
Ernie Hudson, please. Yeah, I'm suddenly interested in this stuff, and also Defense Department boyfriend was mentioned, but didn't show up this week, and I think that's a good thing.
Yep. Yeah, I just realized I'm happier with this episode because we didn't deal with that directly at all.
Yeah,
That's great.
I don't want that. I don't want him. I want him gone. I want that whole thing written out. It's a bad idea. Um, and I also watched Schitt's Creek. I continued to make my way through that for the first time. Got to the end of season 2, which is a very sweet finale, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see why people love this show. And then season 3 went back to sort of the same speed. I'm enjoying it, but I don't love it still, and I'm feeling like it just made everyone that clicks with me the way to say Good Place and Ted Lasso and all the other shows in this that are mentioned in the same breath do.
Yeah, it may be like I recognize that we have a lot of friends in common who love Our Flag Means Death, and
Yeah,
I want to love it. It doesn't click for me.
same. Yeah, it's not that I can't recognize it's a good show. It's a good show. It's never that comfort show. Put this on thing
Mhm.
for me. So I think most everything else I watched was part of the homework, except for, as always, Last Week Tonight, which was maddening, infuriating, and hilariously funny as always.
It was a fucking like uh whiplash this week, as it was like the first subject was abortion,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is, as big of a nightmare as we left it like 16 months ago or wherever.
Uh-huh. Well, almost. I honestly, I thought I was watching a rerun for a second. I'm like, wait a minute, what recent has happened? I'm like, oh no, thanks for visiting, reminding us how fucking horrible it
Yeah.
is.
But then it ended on the New Zealand bird, like bird of the decade, or was it no, the bird of the century vote.
For the century,
It
fucking
and it
glorious.
how it was being fucking like there was fraud going on in the bird of the century vote.
Yep, yep. The amount of money that John Oliver spent on a joke. I'm like, you know what? If billionaires were all wacky like this, if they were all spending instead of spending billions of dollars that could be spent on solving world hunger and that kind of thing, on sending their penises into space, if they could spend that money on rigging the world bird competition, I would respect them a little bit more.
Sure. Like that, at least Elon would actually be funny, like
Yeah, at least it would actually be funny. Except instead of thinking he's
instead
funny.
of just buying
Yeah,
Twitter so that no one can make fun of him. Like,
right. Yes.
like
Let's buy advertising in every country in the world for this weird looking fucking bird.
what was the name of the bird? It was a
I don't even remember, but it's weird.
Teke or Ikte or I forget.
Something like
But it
that,
is, yeah,
yes.
it's a
And
weird
they
ass looking, like it's a John Oliver spirit bird.
yes,
Even more so than Zazu.
it is probably going to be the world bird of New Zealand.
If
So
John Oliver has
we should
anything to
all
say
just brace
about
for
it.
that world. Yes.
That sounds very John Oliver. No,
Yes, yes it
it
is.
made me think. I saw in the news today that the Minnesota had public input for their new state flag, and so
Yes, yeah.
all the public submissions were released, and you can go see them now. There are at least 3 that involve, I think, loons shooting lasers from their eyes.
Now, you see,
Yeah.
at least that's the spirit animal of if a loon with a laser in the eyes, I'm like, yeah, I am definitely
Yeah, it
in.
does. I didn't say they were the worst submissions. There's at least 3. There's one with a giant mosquito. A remarkable number of them are hand drawn.
Like, honestly,
It's just beautiful work.
the Wisconsin state flag has like a badger and like a musket wielding dude on it. I forget, but it really should be a fucking a sentient piece of cheese binge drinking at a college.
I'm pretty sure this is a tater tot casserole. in the middle of a state seal. It's quality work here. Minnesota state flag. I don't know what they're going to go with. I really hope the voting isn't online because they're going to end up with
Yeah,
Bodie
you shouldn't do
McQuote
that.
face. No. But yeah, this is reminding me that I may have to sit through remembering that the world is horrible in order to see some Chuck E. Cheese type John Oliver work again.
Oh man, I think with Five Nights at Freddy's, like I should go back and watch that Chuck E. Cheese episode he did.
Oh man. Yes. Yeah, last squeak tonight. Man, after watching that, I was driving somewhere and saw a Chuck E. Cheese sign that is clearly a mouse now and was like, you
Boo!
neutered, like you
Boo!
spineless.
I remember when he was a fucking rat.
Like you were an insult comic, sir. Where is your pride?
It was basically a saloon for children. It was awesome. What were we talking about?
What are you guys
Oh,
watching?
right. Hey, did we talk about watching Five Nights at Freddy's?
No, we did not. Nick and I went and saw Five Nights at Freddy's with Fanny's oldest, Silas, who is a super expert on all things FNAF. Is the only reason I know that the kids call it FNAF. Because I would never. It sounds terrible. So yeah, Nick and I went and saw Five Nights at Freddy's in the theater.
Yeah.
And?
Yes.
I mean,
it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. We watched a lot of stuff. Henson Creature Shop fucking killed it on the costumes.
I was gonna say the animatronics look great.
Used very well.
Yeah, they look fantastic. I would say that it's a shame that like they actually lean on the ghost kid element of it, where there's actually ghost kids in the dreams, and it doesn't track with like, wait, the ghost kids don't feel the same as the animatronics, which they're supposed to be trapped in. And I don't know, there's just a disconnect that I feel is not helping the story.
You know the way Shazam and the kid playing
Yes.
Shazam just feel completely fucking different
Mhm.
from one another. It's like that. Like every time he talks to these kids in his dreams, they seem fucking scary, and then when you see him in the animatronic, they seem like goofy children, and it's fucking weird. It's a weirdly slow movie.
Yeah,
but I'm told all of it is from the games.
A lot of in the middle where I was like, hey, a whole lot of non-animatronics killing people in this movie suddenly.
Right. There's a whole lot of people in my Cocaine Bear movie here. But yeah, so we saw FNAF in the theater. We also this week saw another movie in the theater, Freelance.
Oh wow, man! So, man, I've never sat through a movie. I realized like Les's exhale. I never heard someone exhale in such a condescending way.
like I was this thing's mom listening to it fuck up at a piano recital.
It was like you were waiting for the movie to be silent. So like,
oh my god,
it's just like, man, you couldn't even wait for a musical transition. It was like,
was there music in this fucking movie? I don't even remember. It was the most charmless imaginable thing to have three leads with insane chemistry.
Yeah.
Like
Alison
like,
Brie
you have
and
Alison
John
Brie,
Cena should be a knockout.
John Cena. Yeah, I can't remember who it is that plays the dictator with them, but he's an absolute maniac.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah.
And yet this movie is a slog to get through.
It's weird to watch two objectively attractive humans have no sexual chemistry, even though they have tons of charisma both. Like Alison Brie and John Cena are never gonna
Yes,
fuck
they
in
have
that
charisma,
movie
not chemistry. Yeah.
from the jump. I know that. I don't know how I know that, but I'm like, you two aren't fucking.
And thank God it's not in the plot for them to either, but like I don't know if that came in like honestly, were they in late stage shooting and were like, so we've got to have Cena reconcile with his wife we saw in the opening because there's nothing happening here. Like it
The
man,
wife's
just
kind of shitty in the opening first act. I think it might have been a rewrite. You might be right.
I'm seriously when he like is pining for her in the second act, like, no, I'm with my wife. It looked like there were other
Are
I
you?
wish there hadn't been anyone in the theater because I wanted to look over at Nick and like, is he? I mean, I've been watching this and I'm pretty sure y'all are done, dude. Okay. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. Freelance. How is that? No, we'll discuss Quiz Lady in Patreon. No matter
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
thought of it, there is no reason why it was on Hulu and Freelance was in a real movie theater.
There's a whole discussion to be had. Why think what is going to theaters and what is going only to home and why? I don't
You know
understand
that
it.
there's a South Park where they decide shit by dropping a chicken and just letting it run around and like
Man, I don't want to give contact. I don't want to give credit to South
South
Park
Park,
for anything,
yeah.
but they may be onto something.
Let's see. So I watched Star Trek Lower Decks, Loki, GenV, which we'll all discuss. I've been watching my way through iZombie. That show is just continually more insane. It remains the best I've ever seen for seamlessly mixing an insane amount of overall plot with a case of the week. Because the case of the week generally so directly affects how the main character deals with the bigger plot. So like frequently huge things are derailed simply because Liv is suddenly on the wrong fucking brain this week.
Mm-hmm.
Also, everybody else getting like the back and forth with the Cure. I just reached the point where Fillmore Graves, which is a great name for a mercenary company, has swooped in and bought Max Rager and just taken it all over.
Max Rager. God damn it.
Yes.
Max Rager's a great name for an energy drink
Yes.
company. Yeah, it's
And I love that as soon as Fillmore Graves moves in, their first conversation is, so what are we going to do when the secret gets out? And everybody's like, well, we don't think it should get out. And they're like, cool, we don't either.
what are we gonna do?
So what do we do when it happens? We estimate we have at best 3 years if we purposely work on hiding it. And like I just love their like immediate no nonsense. Like they're the first ones that walk in and are like, I think Major is a zombie, goes into Fillmore Graves' like locker room where all their zombie mercenaries are suiting up, and everybody else is acting normal, and he's on teen girl brain and is like taking selfies and shit. And they all look like, dude, are you not on brain tubes? And like it's Fillmore Graves is the first ones that's like, so if you mix a shitload of brains together, you don't get their memories.
Yeah.
And like, oh, awesome. Yes, I want that right now. And like, it's basically only Liv that's like, no, we save the world with brains. I'm like, yeah, cool.
I can't get rid of this is the concept of the show. Like, don't fuck this up for me.
Like, it's like literally just the show engine alone going, well, but I'm gonna, okay. Yeah, iZombie's just fucking great. Also, Donnie is one of my favorite characters on anything. Like the mid-tier villain's lackey just ends up staying alive through not the entire show. Originally, he's a guy named Scott E. who gets killed almost immediately and then has a twin brother, Don E. Not Donnie.
You're putting the emphasis. Are you saying Scott
Don E. Yes.
E. You're okay.
With a space. Yeah. Yeah. Eventually they meet their mom, E. Yeah, I fucking love that show. We also watched The Rookie, which is a hard
God
season
damn it.
4 to get through. Damn it, Rookie. We're almost through it now. Hopefully season 5 arcs up. Also, Nick, you should talk a little bit about. We watched a YouTube thing that got way off topic at times, but was pretty good about
Oh,
why exactly is The Rookie aspirational propaganda, but still propaganda.
sure. Yeah. It was
Body cams are not going to save us.
yeah, it was Skip Intro that did a whole propaganda series, and I watched that for
That is his channel name. Speaking of cool eye zombie shit,
Skip Intro, which is
Skip Intro.
solid. You gotta give it to him on that one. His fucking mic setup is fucking weird, but
Mm-hmm.
that's how. And I watched the one on Blue Bloods, and of course, Blue Bloods is fucking easy, fish in a barrel. Like, so I watched The Rookie because I thought, like, well, The Rookie is, at least lighter and funner. And yeah, the basically he goes through, and The Rookie is basically like, oh well, Rookie loves cop cameras, and I'm like, that is true. There's a lot of fucking cop cams, and
They've done multiple whole episodes for no real reason that are just entirely from the body cams.
there just is no evidence that body cams reduce police brutality in any, like, they suddenly break because again it's like, oh yeah, we put them all in the hands of the cops. It's still,
Well, you have to requisition the footage. It has to, in some cases, it has to be turned on.
in 97% of the cases where it's been requested, it's been used against a citizen, not a cop.
Yeah. He also pointed out a subtle thing of like the cameras aren't facing the cop. I know that seems like it's going to catch what the cop's doing, but it's really a camera on the citizenry.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not facing the cop.
Yeah,
Like other cops' body cams are your are the only closest thing to that. And I never really considered that like, oh shit. Yeah, we asked for cameras on cops and they bought us cameras that pointed at us. Fuck.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and also there's like a whole industry in the body cam footage that is like, and it's like, oh well, it's a lovely solution because it doesn't actually fix anything, and a bunch of budgets get to like spend money on it, and like
Yeah.
there's a whole underground industry of body like, or not underground, but like
Axon. Yeah.
Roxxon, what were the
Axon, AXON. They used to be called Taser.
Taser. It used to be called Taser, which I guess they
So
they realized
same company
was a
that
bit
milked that
on
of
the
like,
nose.
oh, are we shooting too many of you? Well, here, let's sell you a less lethal but still kind of lethal taser gun. And then that same company was like, oh, are we still killing too many of you? Well, here we can sell you cameras.
But the Rookie is very, very much like, man, Harper sucks, and a lot of these characters are just not as good as they were in season 3 when they had that whole rewrite going on, and
It's not like season 3 was the shining light of all like the best that a cop show could ever, like it didn't fix policing in a season or anything, but
it
was so much
significantly
better than this. My God. Yeah. Just watching them play both sides and it's just a bunch of bullshit. We also watched, though, an absolutely fantastic movie called The Conference
Oh hell
over on
yeah!
Netflix.
Fucking
I believe this is
Norwegian movie.
Yes.
Yes.
The dub is incredibly good. Like they
It's
even
so
get
good.
the colloquialisms, like it you can hear the accent a little bit, but it feels like Americans talk. It's the dub is quite good. It is about a company that has basically like bought up a lot of land around a small town and shoved like a Walmart and shoved a bunch of people off their land. And one farmer fucking killed himself over it. And like, it's just terrible precedent, but they're breaking ground on it. And they like, the company has sent all the people that worked on the project out to the town for the big ribbon cutting. And it's like, on the one hand, it's a big celebration for them. Like they're sending them out to like a conference weekend, stay at the hotel kind of thing. But the entire fucking town hates them. Like everyone in the area hates them. And there's really nothing around here. Like they're the first thing, like trying to sell other pad sites. So like,
there's not even a McDonald's around here.
Yeah, like the place they're staying sucks. There's nothing nearby. this is like the 4 people on staff that will talk to them in the town. Like, and then because they're loathed across everywhere, like nobody's sure who's doing it, but a slasher killer starts killing his way through them while they're at this thing.
Well, he's dressed up as
It is
their
dressed up
mascot,
as their company mascot. Yeah, it's
which
like
is
having
hilarious.
somebody run around in like a Pep Boy head, or like a Bob's Big Boy, like it's like having somebody run around in like a goofy corporate mascot thing and just murder the fuck out of people. Just absolutely insane movie.
Editing is really good.
Really, really fun.
Audio,
Yeah.
fucking dub on it. Like,
Lots
just
of cool
fucking
shots.
solid.
Really fun. Lots of cool little cut shots. Like somebody gets stabbed and it just cuts to somebody scraping jam across a piece of toast real quick. Like, just really fun little transitions. Absolutely loved it. So much better than. We also I watched Quiz Lady with Fanny, which we'll discuss in Patreon. Spoilers, really dug it. I'll tell you why. I watched part of Goosebumps because Nick caught up. I really enjoy that show. It hits a particular seam of YA versus, I don't know, quote unquote real horror, grown up horror. But it's really fun. Makes a lot of fun decisions. I think in the one you were watching, they are stuck in like a souvenir book, like they're trapped in this kid's memories and drawings in his sketchbook.
Yeah.
And it gets wet and all of the ink and everything starts running, which is a really cool visual effect where they are, but then they start falling through the tearing like wet pages.
The pages, yeah, to the next
and
page.
I just love that.
Yeah.
I just love that mechanic of like they just keep slamming into older memories of his and like, where the fuck are we now? I think this is grade school.
Because if you like stood a something on wet paper, it would like punch through. Like the physics of it work like a kid's logic of supernatural light.
It somehow felt like a Goosebumps book YA novel.
Wait, why are they busting
like,
through different
perfect.
memories? Well, the book's wet.
Like,
what?
Well, the book's wet. You're right. Let's go with it. Lisa watched No Hard Feelings. I watched it with her, which I hadn't seen since the theater. Really, again, enjoyed the shit out of that movie. Weirdly sweet, kind of like Quiz Lady. Just like, this has a weird amount of heart at the end of it for an otherwise pretty funny movie. Watched Lawman Bass Reeves, which we'll discuss.
Damn, that was a long pause.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. Not by Bass Reeves standards.
Nick and I did not talk about this last week, but we watched an episode when I was looking at all the shit from the 1987 week that we were considering doing. We watched an episode of Double Dare.
We watched a couple episodes of Double Dare and the new Double Dare.
Yes, which is still fucking Double Dare somehow. I
mean, Mark, the host,
is now like the announcer. Mark Summers.
Mark Summers is now the announcer, and because he's not on the stage the entire time, it is a little bit less. Because I gotta say, watching as a kid, it was just fun to see kids run through shit, and it was like challenges and stuff. But watching as an adult, Mark Summers is the GOAT of that fucking show. Just like the fucking best.
Watching this adult navigate talking to kids, and it's a game show, and like it's a game show in an era where there weren't kid game shows yet. So we hadn't, and kids didn't have phones all the time. So like kids weren't natural ham performers on camera every time, you know?
So what do you do for fun, Timmy? I
draw monsters.
What was the dismissive like?
Frequently, his answers moving on are sure you do.
Sure you.
And why?
That's right. You sure. Oh, okay, you sure do. Just
like both Nick and I were like, I feel like you're supposed to say like something else to a kid right there. And Mark's just like,
sure,
monsters, cool. Moving on. Just watching and also knowing that dude does not want to get dirty at all.
That he's a germaphobe is kind of rules.
Yes, he has a real clean. I don't know if it's officially OCD or what. Also watched Fanny and I've been looking for a new multi-season show because we've seen Parks and Rec and 30 Rock and Schitt's Creek way too many times. So I started watching Bob's Burgers, which has 1 million episodes, and all of them are about equally cute. If you like a Bob's Burger episode, you probably like most Bob Burgers episodes.
I've been thinking of going back to Bob's Burgers. I've seen probably 2 seasons worth overall, and it's always good.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
at the
it's
time
kind of
I
like It's Always Sunny. I've never seen a bad one.
I held it
just
I
not
held
always in
it
the mood for it.
Yeah.
because of H. John Benjamin. At the time, I held it to the standard of Archer, which I fell off of Archer. So
Yeah, yeah. They did an Archer Bob's Burger crossover as an
Yes, they
episode. It was
do.
great.
yes, they do. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. So far I'm enjoying it. We're just maybe 4 or 5 episodes into season 1. I've seen weird episodes throughout, like various Halloweens. I've watched a bunch of their Halloween episodes and things like that. So I'm sure every once in a while I'm going to hit like a vein of Bob's Burgers that I've seen 5 or 6 of in a row. But so far so good. It's really enjoying it. And then of course FNAF, which is what the kids call Five Nights at Freddy's. Nick, did you? Oh, I know one thing that's on your list. We should discuss that we didn't watch.
Oh, I mean, I think we covered everything on mine, but we need to talk about what we didn't watch this week for once, because we sat down, I believe on Thursday, and like we always do, and are ready to watch our episode of Chucky, like as God intended. And
Uh-oh.
and it turns out that we didn't, somehow it escaped both of us that Chucky was a victim of the writer's strike, the Chucky season.
Yeah, and the SAG strike too.
And the SAG strike, that's right.
Oh,
So
SAG, it's all puppets. Just
But-
pour puppets. That's fine.
you'd
So,
think.
So they had shot 4 and just went ahead and started them releasing, hoping that they would be able to get into production and it just be a slight delay.
Oh.
But at this point now, the estimation is that episode 5 will drop for October next year.
Yeah, they got to finish out the season next year. It almost ruined our entire day.
We were so mad.
Oh.
Now I'm still union
Thank
strong.
God we
Fuck
watched.
yeah.
Well,
But-
and honestly,
yeah.
like, hey, that shows you how much we support the union. It actually did affect us in a very real way.
There, it finally came home.
It's not like we're not sacrificing anything, and we are still like, fuck yeah, union strong. Also, we got to that was the day we found Conference and was like, oh, thank God.
Yes, we were looking for something else to watch and watched Conference. So
The Conference,
yay.
yeah.
But yeah, damn it. So there's the first real shot across the bow of like, well, fuck, it's just off the calendar now. Cool.
Yeah, we screamed to the skies. It was fucking despair. Oh, like, no!
Yep.
Yeah, Don Bala, why have you
That is-
forsaken us?
That is rough. Well, this is a good time to remind you that you can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes and throw us a buck an episode. In exchange, we get keep up with our streaming services and our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, we're going to talk about the Hulu movie Quiz Lady, starring Aquafina and Sandra Oh and Will Ferrell, and it's just a delight. We'll talk about that on our Patreon. All right, let's get to our main course. Or should I maybe spend an hour telling you my backstory that really isn't that relevant to the story, and then we can get the beat?
Well, I'm glad we're on the same page here, Randy, because I was
Man, okay. We were talking about Lawmen Bass Reeves. I have gone on record as saying that against my better judgment, because I'm pretty sure he's a program media Republican,
indeed.
I like everything Taylor Sheridan has done. And I'm like, this guy is so good, he can get me to like stuff I shouldn't like.
Mhm.
And Lawmen Bass Reeves is a story I'm actually interested in. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is a home run.
Mhm.
Takes place during Reconstruction. It should be badass.
The only thing I knew going in, my other friend Nick, who watches TV almost as much as we do, he mentioned to me, and he's a Taylor Sheridan fan. He's like, "Hey, just so you know, it's not written by Taylor Sheridan," and he said it in a way that told me, and that's not a good thing.
How can you tell?
And so I sat down and watched these 2 boring ass episodes of a
Holy
show.
fuck.
So the reason to make a Bass Reeves show is this factoid about the man. He's
Yes.
a black lawman during Reconstruction who took down over 3,000 criminals without taking any serious injury.
That
Yes,
rules.
and also rumored the foundation character for Lone Ranger.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Spoke several languages. Spoke Cherokee or Creek and Seminole at least.
Yep.
Yeah, just fucking amazing. So it
this
makes
dude is
sense
like,
that in a show called Lawmen, we don't get to him having any kind of badge until the very end of episode 2.
honestly, I
He's
was
still just kind of a hired deputy dipshit.
and it was kind of
for
like a
half
back and forth
2.
of like, is he gonna get the badge at the end of this episode? Because Dennis Quaid seemed to like not like
Yeah. And by the way, I think this is a 5-episode show.
No, it's 8. I
Oh,
believe.
is it 8?
Look,
Okay.
and I understand there is a idea of historical accuracy that you want to go with certain things, but you can't have a character that refuses the call to action so many times.
You know what else you can do? Tell his backstory in flashbacks.
Exactly.
Get
Yes.
get to the fucking good shit. But also, I don't want to watch Lawman Bass Reeves for slavery porn. I've got no interest in that. So seeing him and what his life was like under
Shea Wiggum.
his
Yeah.
Shea Wiggum, I'm like, man, just will you please kill or beat this man and get on with your life?
He doesn't
we
kill
know
him.
that's
He just
coming.
wails
Yeah,
on
I
him,
thought-
too.
I
really
thought he
thought
killed
killed
him.
him, dude.
Yeah.
Colonel
I did
George
too.
And then he
Reeves.
comes like they
Yeah.
come back like years later because this like the first episode somehow skips years and goes nowhere. Like
Yeah.
how is it
Right.
Yeah.
how is it skipping
Yeah.
over so much time and yet no story progression is
Mhm.
happening?
Yeah.
Shea Wiggum tantalizes him with his freedom. And there's that card
Yes.
game, and I kind of liked that card game bit of it.
I thought as a sequence, the card game wasn't
Yeah,
bad.
And then
because
he
straight
shoots-
up cheats, and you see it happen.
And as he
yeah.
as he leaves, he shoots 3 dudes, and he's like, and I'm like, oh, dude. And one of the other things is they don't show. Did he train with a gun under Shea Wiggum at any point, or is he?
Or did he just throw the
Or is
rifle
he?
and all of a sudden
Or
he's
is he
magic?
some sort of natural
all
badass?
I found was that he had experience with a gun from the Civil War, but that should have been pointedly illegal under the Confederacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that like a tenth of their fighting force wasn't not fighting force, that a tenth of their military
Yeah, we looked
wasn't
this up.
black cooks and porters and things like that, but you weren't supposed to arm them.
They weren't on the
apparently
front
there's-
line.
Yeah.
There's written speeches from the Confederacy about from Lee's second in command about how shameful it would be if their freedom was won from the Union with armed slaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I get that argument.
That would defeat
like,
this whole thing. So that shouldn't have been I'm not saying that weird shit doesn't happen one-on-one. And I definitely
Right.
liked the moment of Shea Wiggum realizing no one was going to follow him into that field and being like, all right, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, that was a really short scene to show a bunch of stuff that is, if historically true, a slight anomaly, like a one-off.
yeah.
Because I don't know that. And when you see it on a television thing for 15 seconds, you tend to think that it's the average.
Well, also they get to the Union side, and there's no black people on the Union side at all. Which again,
Yeah.
there would be
Yeah.
black people. There would be black regiments,
Like whole regiments
regiments.
somewhere,
But again, I'm like, okay, you're being selectively accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
it was weird. That opening fight was both well done, and I don't know. I maybe part of it's that Taylor Sheridan thing of I'm always watching these shows for where is this biased as fuck? It's got to be.
Right. Right.
And
yeah.
I don't know. I kind of want to know more about. I know they pulled from the first 2 books of a 3-book trilogy about Bass Reeves, which explains why this is so. You can see the thickness of those books in your head. I don't have to tell you the page count. That's not a trilogy of Goosebumps books.
No.
You know that's a
Nope.
trilogy of dictionaries.
Well, I mean, there's so many points where the story could start, and it just refuses to. After kicking Shea Wiggum's ass, that could just start, and he could become an outlaw, and that we could just skip forward to where he actually becomes a lawman for the first time, or go back to Barry Pepper when Barry Pepper escapes imprisonment again and shoots his pseudo kid.
Sure.
Boom.
The
Okay,
Juneteenth moment.
now it's a fucking revenge mission, and he has to become a lawman to get revenge. Got it. Nope. That's not where it starts either.
Yeah. Yeah. I am puzzled by their choices, where they tell what the story they're telling, and also I want Bass Reeves to be a badass.
Yeah.
And he is most frequently here, he is so passive in his own life.
Well,
Yeah.
he's
And
taking shit
it's just
from Shea Wiggum. You get that because it's like, okay.
first it's Shea Wiggum, and then
it's
it's
Dennis
Dennis
Quaid
Quaid.
doing his best fucking
Jeff
Jeff
Bridges, True Grit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and maybe it's historically accurate, probably it's historically accurate, but it's not
Right.
interesting.
It's one of those like
It's not what the label promised me, I'll tell you that much.
if you want to be historically accurate, fine. I guess if you really need to, like Randy, you said, just do it in flashbacks. Show
Yeah.
me one of his cool missions in the first episode, and then be like, oh
Yeah.
shit, this actually leads me to Barry Pepper, and like he's actually
Right.
he's actually still out there. That reminds me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
But like you're curating the scenes I'm seeing, and you keep picking boring ones. What the fuck's going on?
Yep.
And if this is
Yep.
5 episodes, that means we're like the next.
Oh no, it's longer.
Oh, thank God.
Well, you say that. 2 episodes are out, but I believe it's 10 total. Or
I don't
We've already
know.
gone through 2 episodes where he isn't a lawman in a show called
Yeah.
Lawmen
Lawmen.
Bass Reeves.
Yeah. Yeah. There's spots that work.
Absolutely.
I mean, for one thing, as always, production values looks great. I mean,
Mhm.
the costuming, all that stuff. Like, yes, it looks really good, but there's scenes that work. There's the card scene is great. The scene where he meets his ex-lover, and we think that she's got a daughter with another man, and she reveals that it's his kid and that she's
That was
been
fun.
waiting for him. That was really good.
Yeah, it does make him become a farmer for a couple years, which
But
means
it makes
like,
him become a farmer, and god damn it.
which is
Like, when are we going to get to the fireworks factory?
God damn it.
Yeah, it's 8 episodes. So Randy, I think you'll know exactly what I mean by this. This feels like an 80s TV miniseries.
Yeah.
Like this feels like North
Oh,
and the
God.
South, or the Sackets,
Yes.
or Lonesome Dove, or and Lonesome Dove's amazing. Like some of those are really great, but it's got a 3-night luxurious event as we sail you on a slow cruise through this
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Like I can smell the cold cream. It's like the nation's moms settle into this.
Not only that,
Yep.
but they cut back to there's a side story, there's a B story with Bass's family back at the farm. And
Oh my
every time
God.
they cut back to there, I'm like, oh God, oh, for the love of God, cut to anything
Nick,
else.
I had
Yeah.
almost forgotten about it. I honestly, I can't think of any story I care about less than whether or not that piano
Did you
tuner
guys
gets
know
returned.
she bought a piano? She bought a piano?
Oh, wow.
And one of them boys is interested in her daughter.
It's wow.
But that's
Just
Bass Reeves' daughter,
wow.
Randy.
Yeah.
And that
man.
boy, though, with his hormones.
And she had to
I
go
was like,
out
man,
and shoot that
What
sheep.
in the name of Little House on the fucking prairie?
She had to go out and shoot
Yeah,
that calf
it's-
from the wolves because it had to tie in with that scene Bass of like putting that other dude out of his
Yeah.
misery of like, God damn it,
Yeah.
just fucking show Bass. I don't care about anyone that isn't Bass Reeves on the show.
So I have a little bit of knowledge to drop on y'all here. This show was created and executive written by Chad Feehan. Chad Feehan, very much a white dude, which I think is interesting.
Sure.
His co-producer is black, so at least there's that. But do you know the first show he wrote for was Southland, which I've not seen. But the second show he wrote for was Rectify. And if you know that,
Rectify.
it kind of makes sense because Rectify was very good, but it was the slowest fucking show on television.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wrote for Banshee, which is not the slowest show on television. In fact, amazing action. And he wrote for Ray Donovan, which I think was another slow show. So I think this guy has been trained in slow writer's room to think that this is what prestige TV
Yeah.
is.
This is a prestige show,
Yeah.
not an action show. And
Yeah.
I prefer if it was an action show.
I did not come to this for prestige. I came to it for people to get shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like
Yeah.
when he does it, he's a wizard with a gun. He's like fucking
Yeah.
Like I don't think we ever see him fucking miss. Like
Yeah. Yeah, this was a I don't even know what Taylor Sheridan's name is on this. I think this
Just
was a
Sal.
like
He's one of the producers, executive producers.
I think his involvement was probably, hey, should we
was
do a
on
show
set.
about Bass Reeves? Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Did
I have
he not ever say
Well,
anything?
he has a
'Cause-
similar-
I don't know. So I have a great uncle who makes prop weapons, like weird historical Western weapons, and lives in Dallas, north of Dallas. And anyway, they shot this in Oklahoma, around there, I think. So
Okay.
he
All
drove
right.
up and made a couple of the guns, and was there like dealing with the prop guns and everything, like
Okay.
historical rifles and shit. And I think in episode 7 he's the town drunk.
Oh,
Just
okay. That's
because,
cool.
but it was apparently, it was Sheridan specifically that he was so fucking jazzed about it, because he was like, it was Taylor Sheridan that was like, you already look right. Just you who made the gun, you're fine. Come on.
It was weird they didn't change it. They didn't have to change his wardrobe.
Right.
Why does
No,
your great uncle always
having,
look like a 1917 prospector?
like I've seen Toby at family things. Yeah, I know exactly. He looked fine. But so like I know, like apparently Sheridan was on set. Like I don't know, he didn't write this thing, but he seemed to have had some oversight on it. But it does not feel like his other shows.
You can
Whether you
Yeah.
enjoy this or not, it doesn't feel like his other shows.
No, it absolutely does not.
I would say the pacing and the dialogue definitely doesn't. I think the way it's shot and the stunt coordination, it does remind me
Yeah.
of stuff like Tulsa King, and like I can definitely tell, like, okay, Taylor Sheridan brought his team, like the same stunt people, the same DP, probably the same crew are probably working on this, but there's definitely different
But
writers.
the key is the writing.
Yeah.
That's what makes a Sheridan show, and it's not there. All right, let's move on to Invincible, which we're going to have similarly conflicted opinions about, I think.
Oh boy. So
Not amongst ourselves, just about the show.
well, I mean, as the TV dudes, I think we all were the odd men out.
We all collectively are like, what are you fucking talking about? It's not good.
I genuinely think the rest of the world is insane.
I come from, a world where Invincible sucked, and the majority of universes Invincible sucked.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the that's Les's origin. The what was the show you were talking about, Randy? Our flag means
Gen-
death, where it's like we can tell it's a
Yeah.
good show, but like for just some reason it doesn't speak to us. Like, but we can
Yeah,
tell, like,
yeah.
no,
This
no,
isn't that problem.
This isn't that
no.
problem.
I feel like I'll objectively go and prove to you point by point why this is
Yeah.
not good.
No, I just
Yeah.
watched Dead Poet Society. Like I can graph on the scale, like it's got a good beat, but you can't dance to this. It is.
Yeah. Well, leaving aside the animation problems, because there are some, I don't think this animation is great. But leaving that aside, even if the animation wasn't a problem, the storytelling, there's this weird adolescent fascination with blood and gore and characters, innocent people being murdered, and I don't get it.
I say this having recently praised a show where someone's dick exploded.
Yes, and I'm like,
Invincible's
talk
a
about
bit
that.
much.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that.
yeah.
In a minute. Well, in the comic, I thought Invincible, especially earlier, there were violence, not to Mark himself because he was,
Right.
invincible, but other.
Boom.
But he.
Sorry, that was the logo appearing. They actually faked this out like 3 times this episode, so I'll give them that.
I remember early issues where he had to learn his powers, and there was a lot of like there was gore with some civilians because he wasn't used
Yeah.
to that, and it was like, oh. But it had the upbeat and inspiration of like a young Spider-Man of like, I want to try and do this. I
Yep.
want to be good. And
Yep.
it got more violent as the story got more dark. And eventually I feel like that goes at some point that tips for you in a way. And for me, it was the rape tip, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was with it up until like the Viltrumite invasion and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, it felt like it was building on itself to get it was like the Harry Potter movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Harry Potter movies
Yeah.
don't start off like Deathly Hallows dark. They
Yeah.
they start with a fun foundation and then get darker as the stories mature and you get to know the characters more. So their deaths mean more. And
Yeah.
the horrible things that happen to them have more stakes. I hate Rexplode. Fucking
Well, I mean, you got Jason Mantzoukas, and he's somehow he's like a restrained Jason Mantzoukas, and it makes him more skeevy and not less.
yeah. I honestly am like, man, you need to give him more homeless man energy. Like it
Yes, yeah,
increases
exactly.
the
Yeah,
likability
yeah.
somehow.
And I can't believe I remembered his name, but Bulletproof is the most generically boring. Do we even know anything about the
Who
new
is
dude?
No,
Bulletproof? Who the fuck is that?
Bulletproof is here's what I know about Bulletproof. He will be invincible in like season 5.
Okay.
Somehow. That's all I know about him. I've never met this character. I don't remember him. I've only read I guess I've read 3 hardcovers with Invincible. So there's a majority of the story I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know that he becomes a replacement Invincible.
I think that majority, the tail end of Invincible, is what these creators are drawing from, and what
Yeah.
I don't like about Invincible, which is the
Mhm.
nihilism that
Yes.
the show
So can I tell you what I think my problem is where I think the boys in Gen V work and why this doesn't?
Oh, I'd like to
Yeah.
hear that. Yeah.
It's because the boys in Gen V they give us our characters like nobody in that show is a good guy necessarily. Everyone's got flaws, that kind of
I
thing.
would say Huey's
Um,
pretty close to being your typical good guy. He gets
except
drawn down with Butcher and gets as a bad influence, but he's
he's committed a few murders.
also Starlight. I would say Starlight's
he's
your
a
pretty
nice guy.
yeah.
Yeah, but the boys in Gen V is built in this world where all the superhero artifice, the costumes, the code names, all that stuff, everything is from Vought marketing.
Yeah.
None of it is sincere. None of it is all artifice. It is all marketing. Invincible has the same cynical, nihilistic core, but we're all supposed to believe that also all the spandex stuff is real and genuine, and that's just how it works. Like everybody calls himself Rexplode and Adam Eve and Invincible and the Mauler twins. All the Silver Agey stuff is there,
Huh.
but at the same time, none of the Silver Agey morality makes it through. It is like
Randy might be onto something here because if
I think that's the problem.
If it's on a corporate level, then you can understand the marketing of all these dumb names and costumes and to make it feel like that.
But you're enough of a big kid to call yourself Rexplode, and yet you're the same kind of guy who would roofie a drink. Like you can't tell me Rexplode wouldn't roofie somebody's drink.
No, yeah,
absolutely.
You can't have the deep on the real Justice League.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what Invincible wants me to believe is that all of this exists at once, and yet half these people aren't villains. Like Booster Gold apparently is the furthest I'll let that be taken.
Yeah. It is. I believe that, and this is a Kirkman thing because I think Kirkman sometimes doesn't get his he's a '90s guy, and I think he's doesn't get the foundational stuff of superheroes. But it is a foundational flaw that basically you either you believe in the concept of superheroes or you don't. If you're trying to both believe in the concept of superheroes and also at the same time say they're bullshit, then I can see through your story. Alan Moore runs into this. Warren Ellis runs into this, where I'm like, okay, but I can tell you don't like your characters. Like, so on some level, you think what you're doing is stupid and silly.
Which works.
And I can tell.
Which works for a nihilistic parody like Watchmen.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
When you're trying to make, and I think Invincible is trying to be sincere throughout a lot of it.
Yeah.
And as speaking to the episode that we watched, the pilot of season 2, I thought it was okay. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Up until like the very end, where I have some significant problems with it. It kind of reared its ugly head of like it made me forget why I don't like Invincible. But showing the alternate universe was a good hook and like
a good opener. And I think that's much later in the book. I think they're popping that in earlier.
I think it's hard for me to remember. Like they've moved things forward so fast. Like Robot already being a kid is like mind blowing.
That's very quick. Yeah.
But yeah, the Sterling K. Brown's character, forget his name, but
Angstrom Levy.
His character is cool. His idea is cool. Like he's creating a think tank of all the people like him, and how he like the way he explains it. I'm like, shit, this dude.
That makes sense.
That makes sense because he's like, every problem we have has been solved somewhere in another universe. Maybe not all at once, but somewhere it has been solved. So all we need to do is collectively like obtain that knowledge. And I'm like, shit, that makes sense. Like out of all supervillain plans, like I mean, he's not even really a supervillain.
Pretty solid.
Like it made sense to me.
But then what he does to ruin it is so dumb.
Yes.
Infuriatingly stupid.
The character, and they sold me on how smart this character was, right? They really sold me on it. I'm like, oh wow, I get, and I felt the tragedy of like, oh, Mark's gonna fuck this up because he doesn't understand. I actually understood the tragedy about to happen.
Yep, I got it too.
But then when it actually happens, well, one, Mark can't win one goddamn fight.
No,
Yeah.
no, he cannot.
Ever,
No.
ever.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
in the second season now, and he's not just not invincible. He takes an ass whooping every damn
Every
time.
time.
To
Yeah.
the point where
And blood.
the Terror Twins, or at least 6 of them or whatever from different dimensions,
Maulers,
are about to kill him. And
Yeah.
and I'm like, wait, the fight's only been going for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Omni-Man took like 10, 15 minutes to almost kill him.
Yeah.
Are these guys stronger than Omni-Man? Wait.
I mean, I know they're canonically tough as fuck, but
Yeah.
my lord. I mean, like, how much does Mark suck?
Mark cannot always be on the verge of death in every fight. It's not.
No.
It diminishes stakes for all the fights.
How is this not sunk in for Cecil? And so, like, at this point now, when people walk up and are like, "But Invincible, we need you," I'm like, "Do you?
I honestly
what
thought,
fights have you?"
Yeah.
I mean, I guess a stalking horse. Like, what's the plan here?
I also kind of liked Mark's disaffective montage of him just going through the motions, saving people, and I was like,
that was
honestly, that reduces your anger and your arrogance. And honestly, like, this is actually I know you're going through depression. It's a really bad time for you, but honestly, this is the best superheroing I've ever seen you do.
You've done. Yeah, it is. Yeah. That's the first about 3/4 of this episode. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is actually not bad. And maybe they've gotten past the thing that I really hated, and maybe this is going to improve. And then they do that stupid thing with Angstrom Levy and Mark getting his ass kicked.
Well, because he's getting his ass kicked so much, he's like, I will not start my empire, build my empire on a foundation of blood. And he takes off the helmet, which kills.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know.
Yes.
And he doesn't know that Mark is invincible. He should also think that this is going to kill Mark.
But doesn't he know that Mark's invincible? Isn't he from a dimension where Mark?
Oh, maybe.
Was
you're right.
invincible?
No, he should.
Oh yeah, no. He's very familiar with Invincible.
He knows who he is.
I guess. So I guess he's just cool with killing all of his duplicates and the Maulers.
Which is still stupid.
Which is still stupid. That's still like, now it's way more blood, way more death, and your fucking thing doesn't get built.
Yep.
It made I was like, you were so close. And now every time, even if you do good stuff with this character, I know that his origin is dumb.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So much of Invincible has a fatal flaw built into it. Omni-Man beating the shit out of his kid. I'm like, I don't care if there's a redemption arc for him. He's a monster.
Right.
So you can't do a redemption arc with him now. And Mark keep getting his ass kicked. I'm like, yeah, eventually he gets better at this, but man, the amount of damage he has done and been used to do, I'm like, you're kind of really sinking the whole feet of clay thing. They're like, he's like feet of clay up to his fucking waist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and even the interesting things they do with like Robot being afraid now that he's actually physically in the, I'm like, that's pretty good. That's pretty solid storytelling 101 there. They don't deal with him and Monster Girl at all in this episode. And honestly, I'm like, yeah, they probably are avoiding that because it is weird, like from the first season. Although I don't think anybody complained about, everyone was so gung-ho about the first season. I'm surprised they hid some of the stuff that I didn't like about it. But
I mean, but in that same fight, they got to remind you that, oh yeah, Duplicate only exists to watch a woman die once per fight.
Yeah.
Like, she just makes a dupe to die. It seems like that's her main power.
Yeah.
It's like, it's never anything. It's never like, oh, we've got a heist move and Duplicate's going to help us make multiples. Like, it's always a like, oh, thank God I jumped away. Sorry, dupe.
Well, it'd be one thing if there was always a bunch of duplicates. It feels like we're watching one duplicate until she gets killed and then she splits one off to die.
Yeah.
The point of having a multiple person power is that you can swarm people and have a bunch of them at once, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's this is also they're superheroes and they're super villains and all that stuff. They're not that as interesting as the ones in Gen V and The Boys.
No,
they're all knockoffs. They're all deliberate knockoffs.
Who cares
and parodies.
about Bulletproof or Rexplode or at least Shrink
or Giant Baby Man, whatever he was,
or at least Shrinking Ray got a line of dialogue in this episode. I was like, oh, good for her.
Yeah, but this is I want to like it. Everybody fucking loves it. So many of my friends fucking love this show, and I want to like it. I want to see where it's going. I'm curious. It's one of the rare indie superhero books that was a big hit that got an actual ending, and a reportedly good ending. And so I kind of want it to succeed, but at the same time, like, watching it feels like fucking homework.
I don't remember how they did it in the comic, but now going forward, I know that they're gonna do the multiple universe where they bring a bunch of marks into this universe
Yeah.
to fight, and try and wipe it out. That's Angstrom's fucking plan or whatever. And I'm like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
But now his motivation is, Invincible fucked up my shit. So I'm gonna go and take the worst Invincibles and bring them here to get the Invincible that I don't like, even though I'm an amalgam of me's that know Invincible from the other universes that are dicks. Like, wait, so you're
Yeah.
not punishing the actual ones you're mad at. You're punishing the one guy that didn't really fuck up your thing. I mean, he did, but you like
He has no idea. Yeah.
one
Yeah,
of you did
if-
it. One of you saw that a kid was about to die and blew yourself up. You should be mad at yourself.
The fact that all of this is sprung from him not wanting to watch one Invincible die, and now his plan is to kill, and it drives me insane.
Yeah.
His plan is going to have to force him to team up with a way more Invincibles to kill Invincible, the one he hates.
There's going to be so much blood now. And I think that the writers, or maybe it was Kirkman, I don't know, think, oh, it's so ironic. He was such a peace guy, and now he's a bloody man. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not ironic. It's just stupid.
It's inconsistent.
It's just stupid.
Is what it is.
But at least the ground is cracking under the logo now. That's
yes.
Yeah, at least there's not blood on the logo. Whatever.
not enough
Anyway,
blood.
that is probably the last you'll hear us talk about Invincible this year or ever.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some more pleasant topics this week. Let's talk desserts, because man, we had a couple of killer season finales and a pretty good penultimate episode this week. And let's start with Star Trek Lower Decks.
Sure.
So I've never seen the Star Trek Next Gen episode with Nick Locarno that's being referenced here.
Oh yeah.
Nor I. I had to look it up.
But
apparently he's Tom Paris.
He is Tom Paris. I mean, and I kind of figured that out from the jokes they were making, which cracks me up.
He looks exactly like him.
I don't see it.
I have a friend who is a huge Star Trek fan, and this is the kind of Star Trek fan he is. He watches every episode of every series, even if he hates it. And he hates Lower Decks.
Oh, wow.
Hates it. And I've heard his rant, which I swear it must be like a record in his brain he can push, because I've heard it's the same every time, about how disrespectful it is to the series. He hates how much it makes fun of everything. And I'm like, I can't argue with him on this, because it's like arguing with a wall. But I'm like, how do you not look at this show, which has used Nick Locarno from Next Generation as its big bad, the Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and think this is the show that has the most respect for Star Wars or Star Trek of any Trek show ever.
All they
I think so.
all they do is talk about how cool all the rest of the Star Trek like ships are.
Yes.
Well, and to me, it is. I know it feels like an attack, but it is actually showing more respect and redeeming a lot of these things by being willing to go. Yeah, it is kind of dopey looking, right?
Yeah. But
because sometimes it is. Sometimes it is.
It's like putting your arm around your dopey little brother, and all he's doing is just sad rap. You're like, ain't he great, folks?
Ain't he great?
Right.
It's like
that works for me better than just trying to pretend that this shit was actually
epic. Yeah.
Look, it's it's the difference between the fucking Snyderverse and the MCU, man.
Absolutely.
Hey,
yes.
You got to take this. Yeah, take it seriously. It's a franchise, and it has meaning to people, and it's important.
Yeah.
But also, it's fucking silly. Like,
but it's so much.
If you want the Snyder cut, She-Hulk was not working for you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I have, and I guess there's just people appreciate things in different ways, but I have a huge appreciation for the MCU. I have 3 MCU related tattoos. It is as close to a religion as I get, and I fucking love when people make fun of it, because part of the fun of it is that it's goofy.
Yeah,
and I think if you don't get that out of Star Trek, I understand you don't like Lower Decks, but you're missing.
This
is the truest Lower Deck. Like, I loved Locarno's whole thing of like him being basically a disgraced frat boy Federation guy who's like, you know what? You don't like my fleet. You didn't like my squadron. I made a whole fleet. And it's cooler than all the rest of your fleets.
It's the only independent fleet in Star Trek. The Maquis would like to have a word.
But the bit where the one of the bits I loved, there's so much I love about this episode. The bit is where he calls up Mariner to like back him up.
Yeah.
And she's like, this dude sucks.
What up, everyone? I have an important message for all you lower deckers out there. This guy sucks!
What?
He's an idiot and his plan is stupid. He's gonna get you all killed because he only cares about himself.
I loved it when she just jumps forward of like, nope, run.
and just kicks the
He's gonna
thing
get
and
you all
steals
killed.
it. So there's a lot of I love that there's a lot of, this Star Trek is filled with captains making impassioned speeches to the betterment of human nature or why people need to reevaluate their current actions because and to really dig deep and try and be better. And I love that Mariner's whole thing. This guy sucks.
Yep, it was
Run,
perfect.
it's gonna
Yeah,
get you
perfect.
killed.
Perfect. And that all was great, and it sets up the rest of the series, which is how they're going to get past his crazy shield.
Always
And-
Trinar shield.
Oh, he's got 3
Man.
binars, so it's a
Three
Trinar
binars?
shield.
Wait,
And
what?
Going to the Orions and negotiating with the Orions, it reminds me of how Deep Space Nine took the Ferengi, which were kind of a joke, and made them a whole viable story.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Making the Orions legit this season.
yes, so good.
Well, I love that. It's like, I demand barter by combat, and I went to less.
Yep.
Do you get the feeling that there is, no matter what a negotiation or government
Yep.
process, there is a by combat version of it?
Right,
Yes.
right.
Mhm,
You can always
mhm.
yell for. Yeah, and I also love the reveal that they've screwed them out of it and they bartered them a broken ship.
Yes.
And when I liked it, Nick was like, they're just gonna throw that fucking ship into the shield.
It was so good.
Like, because
Yep.
the great payback is like, what? I returned all the pieces of the ship,
Yeah, because
or
they get to be
like something like that. I was
Yeah.
like, I would love for. I don't think they did that, but like, I would love for them to. You just come back around of like, I didn't tell you what condition I'd returned it in.
Yep. I love that they did the callback with the engineers arguing that they go back and they solve it on the Mark Twain boat.
Oh, wow.
Like-
Yes. Why does
Yep.
this work?
Why does this work?
And I love that it's Talin's suggestion. Like everyone,
Yes.
this
Yep.
whole
Yep.
season, everyone's been like, "Are you gonna mind meld?" And Talin has like, "No,
No.
No.
no, I don't.
No.
I don't do that."
I have a simpler suggestion.
Boimler's captain voice. Boimler
Boimler
captain
got to be
was
captain. I was so proud of him.
so
Yes.
good. Yep. The captain's yacht. I mean,
Dude, no one ever uses
uses
that.
the captain. Oh man, I just I get warm fuzzies every fucking episode of this show.
hit after hit. This was a fantastic.
Also,
finale.
Tendi
Yes.
is now
Yeah.
had to basically barter
Oh, yeah.
herself for the
Yeah.
ship at the end.
Yeah,
And
Yep.
man, the way she turns around at the end, looking at the Cerritos and turning around
mistress
from
of the winter constellation.
she basically like
motherfuckers.
almost all but rolls up her sleeves and like spits like in like, okay,
Yeah.
you wanted me back.
Yep.
Well, I'm
Yep.
back. I'm like, oh, I think they might
Yeah.
regret this.
Yeah. Yeah. She's gonna be running that ship by the time we come back next season.
Honestly, I don't care if it may only last an episode or two into the next season before they get Tendi back.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see
I
it.
love to see Tendi as
Yeah.
a holy terror, so that her
Yeah.
people will be like, please, for the love of God, just leave,
They're like,
so she can go back
just
to doing
take-
her science stuff that
take
she
her,
likes.
Take her back. She keeps making us do science instead of pirate shit.
Well, like I just love the idea that she goes as hard at being. It's like the kid running for student government in high school, like
Yeah.
the super hyper driven, whatever. Like she goes as hard at being a pirate as she does
Yes.
at
Yep.
like a PhD
Yep.
program.
hmm
like, oh my God, she's a monster. You
Like,
guys take
did
her
you
back.
study for this? Yes.
We've made a mistake. I'll be like,
Also, the scene of you idiots put a paywall on a bomb
oh,
was the most Ferengi thing ever. Love
well, the
that.
Ferengi has like the voice on the bomb or the Genesis device or
Yep,
whatever it was,
yep,
and then
yep.
suddenly, insert
Ferengi
5
voice on a Ferengi
Latinum.
bomb. Didn't see it coming, but I love it. Yeah,
Like
I love
fucking
that.
solid. What a great joke to end on. Because it also
Yep,
shows Locarno it is like he can disarm the bomb. He's not incompetent.
Yep.
He's just
Yeah.
he is kind of dumb though.
He doesn't think things through. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also shows the immediate
And that was-
breakdown of this like this coalition of
Yeah.
independent there is no real leader. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, this might work if you didn't employ all the most duplicitous and ready to fucking
But it
backstab
works
you.
right up until they need to do anything.
Well, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Shit, I made a whole coalition out of Romulans, Ferengi, and Klingons, and they don't
Yep.
and Orions, and they don't seem to be like doing the stuff I'm asking them to do. Oh,
Right.
really?
Oh, and all of them being very clear, like, are you giving me an order? You can't do that. And like, well, crap, how do we do anything here? Fuck. And I love them setting off a Genesis device, which
Mhm.
means that next season on Lower Decks, we are definitely going to get
Planet
a
Locarno.
Star Trek 3 ripoff, Search for
Yep.
Nick.
Search for Nick.
Yeah. You're 100% right. Yep. Yep.
That's
I
gonna
had the
be
same thought.
it's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can't
also,
wait.
Will Wheaton returns as fucking
Oh,
Wesley.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was
Actually
great.
gets to be Wesley
He's putting a
again.
little spin on his voice, like he's doing his
Put a
best
little
Rick and
Morty on it.
Morty.
Yeah.
But
that
guys,
was
I don't
pretty
think we've trained enough for this. Shut up, Wesley.
good. Yeah, man. What a great finale it was. All right. Let's jump over and talk about Loki. Let's talk about the penultimate Loki. I will be out of town next week, so I will not be here to talk about the finale with y'all. But I'm excited for it. Um, time is unraveling. People, the TV doesn't exist, and maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know.
This episode is a
Yeah.
like a writer's guide to how to intricate plot with characters. The fact that like, okay, we need to get everyone, there's a canonical reason, like, okay, we need to get everyone in that room because of their time aura.
Yeah.
And so basically we need to go grab all your new buddies because they
Mhm.
were in that room with you. Other than Victor
Mhm.
Timely, I guess. Oh, I guess he was Spaghetti. That's right. He was Spaghetti before that happened. Bummer for him. Oh man, I mean I think that means he doesn't come back, right?
I don't know because there's
I don't know.
Oh man, no.
I don't
I
know.
think he might no.
Loki's time slipping.
I mean, maybe
Loki
Spaghetti.
can time slip, and time slip could be a while now. Now he can control it.
I don't know.
Anyway, but the thing I loved was seeing we knew that Mobius had been a jet ski salesman
Knew
or
it.
something. We
Yes.
and man, him as like beat upon single dad trying desperately to sell that jet ski. I was like, man, this is such a great.
And I hate to part with
Owen
her.
Wilson as a character can pull both of those things and pull it off.
How
Like
could he not
he's
want to get
been
up
the-
on this thing, man?
He is so good in that role.
Also, fucking
Yes.
Eugene Cadero as Casey as one of
Yes.
the
Oh,
escapees
God.
of Alcatraz.
Yes, yes,
That was great. Him trying to pocket everything in Obi's.
yes. Always funny. And Obi, man, Kihoi Kwan, if he hadn't already stolen episode 1,
My God.
this is the
man,
episode
he's
he would have
stealing the
stolen it.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just
I love when he just like Loki has such easy time convincing him. He's like, I don't know, science fiction, I get it.
yeah.
He's like, I want to believe all this shit. So yeah, even if you're crazy, I'm just going to listen to you.
Right. I'm going with it.
Right. Well, also,
Yeah.
he wrote a couple novels based off of like these characters, and they're like, okay, so
Yeah.
he's more ready to believe this than most.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I like that. 13.
yeah. Agent B13.
Agent B13
Yeah,
was a doctor. Like she did
Yeah.
help people. Like she's like, I feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're like, remember, like her need to like help people is like, and same thing with Owen Wilson's personality and jet skis.
yeah,
Like there's like it's echoes of their old life are reverberating,
yeah.
and of course we get into the same goddamn argument with Sylvie every time we do
Every
this.
time. Yep.
Well, I mean, it's wrong that just bringing them together and forcing them to do, and force them to go back. And like Loki's like,
Yeah.
well, no, but we didn't give them a choice to go back. You see how
Yep.
that's the
Yeah.
wrong part, though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I did love when Sylvie knew instantly who she's like. I know you are Loki. Like, I was like, okay, good.
Yeah.
When he's fully expecting to have to argue this and like, no,
Yeah.
she's about as out of time as you are.
Well,
She's
because
more
Sylvie's
like your
original
problems.
branch is long since dead. She has nothing to
Yeah.
go back to.
She's
I don't
caught
think.
up. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, she's
I don't
caught
know.
up.
I
guess I don't know how they
so
work.
the needle drop of her realization moment is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah,
Oh Sweet Nothing is a Velvet Underground
and
song.
also
that
so
yeah.
I think I
Sylvie.
first heard when I was like 14. But also that moment was so fucking Sylvie.
Sylvie will not get off her ass and solve a problem.
She won't
until-
even turn around as the dude who just helped her is fucking noodling.
Nope. Yeah.
Because you realize at the end of this episode, she had her own tempad the whole time. She had the same
Yep,
information as
true.
Loki
That's
did
right,
the whole
that's
time.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
That's
She-
right.
Sylvie chose not to help.
Sylvie could have more easily than Loki solved all of this in a shorter
Yeah.
amount of time with less effort, but does
Yeah.
not because she fucking is the worst.
Well, like one of the remarkable things when they announced the Loki show was going to happen at all, like before season 1, and we were all like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I guess Loki's actually grown an insane amount over the course of the Marvel movies, and now
Right.
he's not like the villain that started this whole thing long, long ago.
Yeah.
He's a guy we like, and we want to watch him front of show. Sylvie has done none of that growth,
No,
and it
she
is
has
so
not.
weird to be episode after episode faced with old Loki, like, oh, you're the dickwad that would get your brother killed and make a deal with Thanos. Fuck. Yeah, you would unleash the Chitauri, wouldn't you? You fucking useless.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess I just find old
Yeah.
Loki just less fascinating than new Loki.
Well, and I think it's why old Loki couldn't have sustained a show or anything. He's kind of a one-note asshole.
Yeah. But Sophie as an almost antagonist, I'm kind of still enjoying her. Like, yeah, I'm not frustrated by her ability to do anything. I find it to be deliberate. Like they're deliberately and I do wonder, are we at some point going to see growth, or is this just are they making a point here?
Well, I think there's a path there. We just haven't seen her
I want
take it.
someone like, and Loki's already done it a couple times, but during the bar scene where she's like, well, honestly, it was wrong of us to snatch them out of the time period. And Loki goes back like, well, I asked Mobius and he said he would choose not to go back because he felt like he had purpose. He actively chose not to. And we took that choice away from him. You know, the thing you hate above all else, like the free will thing. And but of course her position, I'm like, it's so convenient, Sylvie, that your position is always the one that requires you to sit on your ass and do nothing. It's really convenient that every time you come to a moral debate, you somehow land on the one that requires you to do nothing.
I mean, in fairness, in the first season, Sylvie bombed the entire timeline and then killed Kang. So she is definitely not inactive. She may be tired because she did a lot.
That was her. That's what I realized that this season is she's a character without a purpose anymore. Her purpose was she had a singular purpose in season 1, and now that that's done, she doesn't really want to do anything else.
But I think her purpose, like she figured when she was done, she's like, no, I did what I set out to do.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine. And instead, what you set out to do fucked up everything.
Well, I feel, and then Loki and all the characters, what they're trying to drill into her is that, well, you set out to do the thing that you want to do, but you're accepting none of the consequences of it.
Yes, I think that's, I do think that's built. I don't think it's bad writing. I think it's built into it.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they're going to take her. I think we only have one episode left. It feels like a lot of story to tell. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, there's definitely going to be, I think, another season of this.
Yeah, maybe so.
I can only imagine once the TVA gets back up and running, it needs a new purpose. And I feel like, okay, so it's going to be a Kang fighting force.
Yeah.
And that's going to be what the TVA is for.
Right.
Or Miss Minutes comes back and is still the big bad for 3. Although I feel like she's going to come back in the finale for this one and be the big thing we got to fight this season.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Yeah, but I'm excited to see the rest of it in a couple of days and talk. I'll catch up with y'all on it after you've talked about it and run it down.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk GenV, which was a phenomenal season finale of a phenomenal season. Of TV.
So when you said you thought you liked this show better than The Boys for like the last couple episodes, I was still on the fence of it. Like I'm like, oh, I think pound for pound, I definitely feel like this seems to be having a better theme and arc and knows what it's doing more initially than the like. But having seen the finale, I'm like, oh wow, this.
That's what it is for me. It's like this show. The Boys is good from the outset. Like it doesn't have to grow into itself. It definitely is good.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like as good as The Boys is at season 4, at season 1.
It's so rare to see one of these spin-off shows actually do what they're supposed to, which is take advantage of what's been set up and established beforehand so that you can create and just add on top of it.
And really deepen it back and forth.
And yes,
you need to watch both of these to know what's about to happen in The Boys.
When Homelander.
Man, oh no, yeah. Let's before we get to that, let's back it up. Let's back it up.
Back it up.
So
Kate is a fucking psycho.
You know what though? she got turned into
Right,
one.
right.
Yeah.
Like she,
No,
she
I get it.
I totally get
Yeah.
her journey.
Damn, she's dangerous as fuck.
and Sam's the same way. I'm like, man, I feel bad for Sam because he's been institutionalized his whole life and he's got mental issues, and everyone's taking advantage of him. And of course, all you gotta do is point him a little bit in the right direction, and he will unleash violence.
Well,
Yeah.
and just be the person nice enough to let him feel numb.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't wanna feel
I
anything.
did love Luke fully explaining it. I'm glad they came outright and said, like, if you were wondering why Golden Boy killed himself, him saying straight up, look, man, I've only ever killed one person with my powers, and I immediately killed myself over it.
yeah,
And like,
yeah,
oh damn. Because Nick and I
Yeah.
had been kind of laughing about like, we know that this school is an experiment, like they're gathering info on soups and everything. I think it's a
Mhm.
flawed experiment because you're watching them in a Kardashian show. Of course they're turning into assholes.
yeah,
But
yeah.
still,
Some
what this
confirmation
isn't-
bias going on.
What this isn't is any kind of classroom teaching you how to use your fucking powers.
Nope,
None of
nope.
these kids are prepared to do shit. Nobody
Mm-mm.
learns how to do any kind of power extrapolation. Like you watch these kids figure out not secondary mutations, but at least secondary things they can do with their powers.
Yep.
You
yep.
watch them figure them out on accident, not
Mhm.
because they ever had any class that did it.
I feel like Professor X is watching from somewhere going, see, now doesn't look so bad, right? It's not harder than it looks.
Funny, when they start freeing, like they kill the guard and they start freeing the kids from the woods, I'm like, man, I don't know who I'm supposed to be rooting for because these kids have been tortured. They should be set free.
Yeah. The moment I had in the middle of it was like, okay, so I'm on the fence about whether you ought to set the definitely crazed kids, like maybe not originally crazy, but the crazed now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But somewhere in this building, there is a room of 4 or 5.
At least they were smart enough to not open that door.
Yeah. I was like, tell me that Kate got those memories off Shetty.
I think she did.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if they're walking blind into this and open the wrong door, this is all over.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, there's
yeah.
the
Like I know it's by touch, it's not airborne, but still, goddamn.
Well, even by
Yeah.
touch, that's like a super AIDS epidemic.
Yeah. I mean, I almost wondered if that's where they were going, and I'm glad they didn't do it that way.
Mhm.
but I
No,
was like, man,
It's
all
still
I kept
hanging out
thinking
there.
was one
Yeah.
motherfucker walking into oh god, what was it, Orgasmicon or whatever the fuck
Yeah.
that
Oh
was.
yes,
Yeah.
Herogasm.
Herogasm. Yeah. But then, I mean, then they just started murdering everybody on campus.
Mm.
I was like, oh,
Well, they murdered
okay.
all the
So
humans.
this is
And
what
once
we're doing.
again, every single hero, you're on a campus full of
Yeah.
prospective heroes. They all scatter like bitch.
Not
they
a
just
single
run.
one
Yep.
does anything.
Nobody
not a
turns to
single
help.
one. Nope.
Up until
Yeah.
and this was actually pretty smart. The people that are there to decide the new 7 or like the
Yeah.
Who's good?
Yeah.
The board.
Yeah.
they put a fucking hit on all those kids.
Yeah.
Okay, you want a spot on the 7? Kill one of these fucking kids.
Yeah.
Right
Yep.
now.
And I was like, oh shit, that's probably one of the smarter things I've seen them do.
Yeah.
How screwed they have to be for them to call in Homelander.
Yeah.
So, oh man.
Oh,
And what a
man.
mistake that ended up, because I thought Kate, I'm like, okay, I get this plan doesn't have an end goal, Kate. Like, what do you
Yeah.
like
yeah. What
what
are you
doing?
Yeah.
And then Homelander shows up and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, why wouldn't he
Yeah.
be super into this?
Yeah. And also, Homelander, he may not be full on Stormfront Nazi, but if he sees a black woman and a black man, he's gonna be like, why did you guys do this?
Mhm.
And he went right
He's
to
like,
it.
turn on,
Mhm.
and he like, why do you enjoy hurting your own kind? And like, she almost answers, and he goes like, it's like, yeah, that was a
Yeah.
rhetorical question. Also, man, the
Yeah.
way he's not on screen for long, but he reminds you of like
No.
why you love to hate him. Of like,
Yeah.
stop, don't come any closer, like, or whatever he
Yep.
yells of like,
Yep.
basically like just stop
Yeah.
resisting, or
Yeah. Well, it's the whole thing of like Homelander has the actual power and presence that if he were not the worst, he could actually solve this whole thing when he shows up.
yeah.
Right.
But instead he makes it
Well, he
worse.
shows up and
And
the
just
fighting
puts
just
a
stops.
spin on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they immediately cut to the spin.
Yeah. Which is that
Which
the
is
two people who
amazing.
caused it are
Yes.
now
Yes.
the heroes of
Are the
thing.
new gods of Godolkin.
Yeah, and I was like,
Yeah, the Guardians of Godolkin.
Guardians of
Yeah.
Godolkin, which is
Yeah.
the name of the episode, and it's Kate and
Yeah.
Sam, and I was like, fuck
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And our team.
Man.
Yeah, now our team is is in a round room in the New Woods.
So
Yeah.
I feel like
Man.
Homelander was in some hot water legally and there was an
Yeah.
internal struggle at Vought. And this whole season in
Mhm.
Gen V, we hadn't seen it, but they were trying to
Yep.
get control back over and get a new 7 organized, right?
That's over.
And at the end
that's
of
over.
this, because they had to call in Homelander, they lost all their power negotiating with him.
I think so too.
Because of the Woods, because of the kids fucking that up, because of
Yes.
all the things that
Mhm.
happened in Gen V, the entire next season of The Boys is in theory different than it would have been
Yeah.
without this show. And it
Yep.
makes it one of the weirdest, most important side shows I've ever seen spin off of anything.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yes.
like this is what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wishes it was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. Just a fantastic episode, fantastic season. I remain firmly convinced this is better than The Boys, and it's
Yeah.
going to make The Boys better.
And then
And
that stinger.
I love The Boys. Oh, and that stinger. Yeah.
What a bunch of
Yeah.
cunts. And I love that we called it early of like, oh, if there's one person that shouldn't have this virus, oh, who showed up at the end? Oh, damn it.
Yep.
God.
Yep. Yeah.
Fantastic television.
just
I was
great.
sad it ended when I realized it. Like, oh, this is the last
Same.
one. God damn it. That was it.
So they did just announce that The Boys is in post-production right now. So the next season will probably be next year. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Will not be affected by the strikes.
So they got it in under so it's post-production, so all the acting actually is done.
Post-production. So
Okay.
all the acting was done, all the writing was done.
Well,
so,
I mean, unless they
yeah.
had to do reshoots.
Yeah.
No, there won't be.
That's true.
There won't.
There won't be.
There won't. Nope, we don't need them.
Nope.
Turns out
We're just going to take the mustache off with CG.
we got them all in
Well,
one.
it appears, as we record this, it does appear the strike, the SAG actor finally got settled as well.
Did
We
it?
haven't heard the full details, but the agreement went down.
Oh,
tonight.
All right.
shit, just
Well, the
tonight?
last sticking
Fuck.
point was AI was wanting to scan dead actors with no.
And they haven't
compensation.
said it, but I can't imagine SAG after signing it. So I think they must have.
They must have come through on
AMC
that.
must have finally broken. Yeah. So yeah. So we might actually get more TV. Although I think we're gonna have a few months of no TV and movies.
I mean,
next
it's
year,
gone.
You might guess.
It was like 2 months ago was the deadline before it like if it needed to end 2 months ago before if it didn't affect production going forward. Like it's already way past the point of like a lot of the shit is going to be stalled and fucked up and
I know it's the longest labor strike in entertainment history. I wonder where it stacks in just labor history.
Labor history?
It's a crazy long strike.
It was a crazy long strike. Yeah, double strike too. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up for us this week. Thank you, Les. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, dudes.
Thanks, cunts.
And thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our patrons. Reminder, you can go to patreon.com/tvdudes and throw us that bucket episode. Listen to us talk about Quiz Lady and lots more. And until next time,
TV Dudes ahead.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.